Hello there, this is the Shawn 1113 show. I am your host, Shawn 1113. Thank you for joining me, wherever platform you are listening to. Thank you very much, anywhere, anytime in the world. With that, I look back at the NFL and college football, and both of them are crazy, crazy, crazy. The Miami Dolphin win, boy, did that shock me. I was expecting, after that 35-14 lead, the history repeated itself that Baltimore would beat Miami. It's been their history. And then Tua shocked me with playing the kind of performance that we drafted him, that my Dolphins drafted him in the first place, fifth overall. And that was a shock as I look back. But in my opinion, that was something to watch. Something to watch when I came home. Also, Arizona. How does Las Vegas let Kyler Murray single-handedly beat you? Raider fans, can is your thinking? Ask you a question. How could Kyler Murray single-handedly beat you? I mean, still scratching your head. I don't blame you for that. Plus, Kansas City and Buffalo are the top two teams in the league. There is no doubt about it. After Thursday and Monday night, and then not that far is Tampa Bay, but then creeping up is the Philadelphia Eagles with their impressive win. Indianapolis can't buy a win against Jacksonville, and that's obvious. Jameis Winston can't buy anything without intercepting against Tampa Bay. That was a kind of an ugly game. Cleveland Brown fans, how in the world do you let the Jets win that game in the manner that they did? Washington and Detroit. Detroit's coming along. They might be a surprise team. I know it's early in the season. Detroit might be one of these teams that might sneak up in the NFC if they get enough wins under their belt. Cincinnati, there is no doubt, in my opinion, they have the hangover now. They have that AFC Championship hangover. You let them beat Dallas. You're in those client close games, and they should have won both of those games by all rights. Probably more likely the Dallas game than the Pittsburgh game, because that was the week one matchup. That week one matchup with Pittsburgh was crazy on another level. Tennessee, I gotta wonder, is that window closing? The Giants surprised me against Carolina. We'll see what happens there. Um, that's pretty much it for right now. When I'm looking back at week two, and now before I do that though, earlier this week or last week, with no attention given whatsoever, unlike Serena Williams. Well, I can understand why in a sense, but Rodger Federer announced his retirement from tennis. Can we give him? Can we give that guy a round of applause? One of the greatest male tennis players in the history of tennis, and elevated. And what he did is not only be one of the best tennis players of all time, he elevated everybody else's game. Think about it. Nadal, before Rafael Nadal, Djokovic came along. It came along. Roger Federer. I'm sorry. My words I get too fast in my words. Roger Federer made everybody else look great. And as time goes on, you can see why his impact at tennis is going to be was far-reaching when he did play. But I want to give a round of applause to Rodger Federer being the greatest tennis player of all, one of the greatest tennis players to ever live, folks. In my opinion, some people might surpass him in wins and trophies and losses, but the impact Rodger Federer has made in tennis is very far-reaching, in my opinion, especially in men's tennis, in my opinion. Now let's get back. Now let's turn the page to week 3 of the NFL and week 4 of college football. And I do have some questions about all these games. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh. Is the sound of Kenny Pickett, the rumblings of Kenny Pickett, Steeler fans, starting to rumble a bit? How soon is Kenny Pickett going to be in the NFL football field? The Cleveland Browns. Could they come back from the damage they lost to the Jets? We'll find out this coming Thursday night. Kansas City and Indianapolis. Can Kansas City keep going? Can Indianapolis actually win a game without tying and losing? And they are the most disappointing team in the NFL so far this year. And I'm talking about the Colts. Houston, Chicago is a pick'em game, in my opinion. I mean, you can go. Can Justin Fields get something? This is a winnable game for Chicago, but I don't know if Justin Fields. I don't know. Same thing for New Orleans and Carolina. New Orleans, can Jameis Winston cut down the interceptions to at least 1? Carolina, can we get something? Can they get something going under Baker Mayfield, or they're going to be named Sam, or we're going to have Sam Darnold quarterback again? Las Vegas and Tennessee. I don't know about either of these teams. Las Vegas got single-handedly beat by Kyler Murray. How did they recover by that? And so was Tennessee, who got whipped by Buffalo this past Monday night. Which team is going to show up for this one? Because either the loser of this game, in my opinion, at that game, they're going to be deeper. They're going to dig their holes. They're going to dig that hole deeper. Cincinnati and the New York Jets. Can the Jets surprise again? Or does Cincinnati begin to get up from the hangover they had for the Super Bowl? Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo is the best team in the NFL right now, in my opinion. But can Miami cannot make 4-quarter comebacks like that. They got to play the perfect game against Buffalo, in my opinion. And can Miami come there and beat Buffalo and catch Buffalo off their track? Philadelphia and Washington. Philadelphia is probably the best team, one of the best teams in the NFC right now. Can they keep that going? Washington, can they keep that going? I got to admit, though, as long as Carson Wentz is healthy, this team can't be. As long as Carson Wentz is healthy, in my opinion, this team are going to be in games. Detroit and Minnesota. Minnesota would have laid an egg on this past Monday night. Can Detroit keep going? Baltimore and New England. How does Baltimore can Baltimore recover from that loss? Can the secondary tighten up a little bit? New England. Let's see what happens there. What does Belichick do against that secondary? The Baltimore secondary. Jacksonville, LA Chargers. If there's one game this week that has potential upset, it's the Jacksonville game. Would not be shocked if won. Can the Chargers, is Justin Herbert 100% healthy and be at the level he was against Kansas City? We'll find out. It's going to be an interesting game there. Green Bay and Tampa Bay. Which quarterback shows up? Rodgers or Brady? Enough said. The LA Rams. Can the Rams keep going and get get themselves out of the hole? Can Arizona keep going with Kyler? How long? And with Arizona, how long can Kyler Murray single-handedly? Somebody else that other than Kyler Murray can can put the weight on their back on Arizona. Atlanta and Seattle. Next game. San Francisco and Denver. This is an interesting game as well. Jimmy G, with Trey Lance out, can Jimmy G keep it going? Can Russell Wilson score? Can the Denver Broncos score more than one touchdown at home? And Dallas and New York Giants, the surprise so far has been the Giants winning their games. Another question for the Chargers as well before I get to the Monday night game, though. How many times will Brandon Staley go for fourth down? That's my question about that. Dallas and New York, can Cooper Rush keep going? Can the Giants stay undefeated? Should be an interesting game on Monday night, to say the least. Now my college football picks. Coastal Carolina and Georgia State taking Coastal Carolina. Nevada and Air Force taking Air Force. Clemson and Wake Forest, potential trap game for Clemson, but they're going to beat Wake Forest. Baylor and Iowa State is another potential trap game. I'm picking Baylor. Would not be shocked if Iowa State won that game. Texas and Texas Tech, pick 'em game, but I'm going to pick Texas Tech. Florida and Tennessee. Some might say Florida might upset Tennessee, but I'm picking Tennessee. And the same with Arkansas and Texas A&M. I'm making an upset bid and picking Arkansas to beat Texas A&M. That is my Shawn 1113 podcast show. NFL, look back and look forward, and Rodger Federer's retirement. With that, thank you for listening, and always stay encouraged no matter what.